We have arrived at this secret, non-disclosed locations. There's UFOs and spaceships in here, so we're not allowed to tell you where we are.
Whoa.
Oh,
hi. Oh, yeah. Good morning.
It's awfully bright.
It's super bright.
Too bright. It's too early for that after that flight last night on Frontier Airlines. Oh my God, $77 tickets for Frontier Airlines. It's
We were like,
bright.
super great deal.
Super cool.
Yeah,
Great
yeah.
deal. Till we get there. So not only like you get to Austin Airport and they have their like main terminal. So we get there, we're looking for, nobody knows where Frontier Airlines is. They're like, oh, well, you got to take this shuttle and go all the way on the opposite side of the airport. So that was like a 20-minute drive. Then we get there and it looks like it's not even an airport. It's like this is just like a building.
It's like a 10 building.
It's like a box, and then like they're like, oh, we got 2 airplanes outside that are going to California, so we're gonna put y'all on there and yeah, have a good time. Oh, by the way, $77 a ticket, perfect. Like if you don't have bags, cool, and you want to get somewhere, you get there pretty quick. This is not a free brand deal for Frontier, by the way.
This is the opposite of brand deal.
This is getting somewhere. $900 later in bag check fees, we could have flown first class Delta or American. So I'm thinking about changing those flights back home from LA.
I mean, I'm not going to be mad about that.
I'm not mad about that, but look at this view, though. Holy cow. So we told you we're coming to California. One of our customers has an F430 here. He's experiencing some E-Diff lights on his dash, so he was like, I only want you guys to work on it. So, like, can you come out here? We're like, okay, cool, fine, no problem. We'll come out. So we're going to diagnose the issue. We brought all of our equipment in this nice little Home Depot Husky.
That's the $900 bag.
It was actually $127. Whatever, it doesn't matter. So we're here. We're going to go see this 430. We're going to hook it up to the computer. We're going to see what the issue is. Some of the common issues with the E-Diff system, air in the lines, the solenoid failing, or the pressure sensor on the power unit going bad. So we do have Ferrari of San Francisco at our disposal, just in case we do need parts. Other than that, we brought everything with us, so we should be able to fix it. But we're going to show you guys how to bleed and diagnose an E-Diff system on a Ferrari F430. So we're going to catch our Uber right now, and we're going to go grab this car.
But that shirt, though.
Mm.
Look at that shirt.
BM
Yoda Zebra? Oh.
That was because somebody made fun of us. So I mean, it was just appropriate to get these shirts made. So
shirt is fantastic.
Hey Matt, are you guys ready to go?
Yeah.
Get this Uber and let's go pick up our rental car first. So we're kind of, not like.
Go get our truck.
Dude, the hair. Bro.
Dude, look at that hair.
Don't look at me.
Epic. That guy's got a great mop. I wish I had a mop like that. We have arrived at this secret, non-disclosed locations. There's UFOs and spaceships in here, so we're not allowed to tell you where we are. Actually, a good sign is we just started the car, and there was no E-Diff light on the dash, so it leads me to believe that it is actually a bleeding procedure that we're going to do on this first. There's probably some air trapped in the system, so we're going to get the equipment out, get it scanned, see what the fault codes are, and then we're going to show you guys how to bleed this system manually with the scan tool and also with a power probe and adding 12 volts to the solenoid to get the air out of the system.
What you doing over there?
So I'm removing the F1 cover, just getting the system ready to get bled. There's a little distribution block right here, and it's just like bleeding brakes.
Oh yeah?
Except we got to run the pump. So I'll let Art explain how that's done.
Run the pump. How do you run the pump? What are we
You hook
doing?
a computer up to it.
Oh, nice.
Then you push a button and it runs.
Oh. Sorry, I'm still learning.
Don't worry, you'll get there. One day, you'll get there one day.
Just removing the diffuser. We have to get access to the pump, the solenoid basically.
And you actually don't need to jack up the car to do this. You could just do it on the ground. It's a little tight, but it is doable on the ground. And then once you actually get that cover off, then you'll have access to the 2 solenoids that are on the side of the E-Diff. I'm getting my Zupra shirt dirty. I actually blend in, look at me.
Hold on, wait a minute. Your hair is different.
What's wrong with my hair?
Bro, what happened to your hair? You have no more hair.
Oh, you don't know what happened?
No.
Okay, so check this out. Like, I was getting a haircut, and when I went to go get a haircut, I was like, this is gonna be so epic. Like, I'm gonna get a really nice haircut, gonna go home, take a nice shower, and then we're gonna fly out, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I had this lady. She was a nice lady. I have nothing against this lady. And my wife kept calling and texting me, right? Mm-hmm. And I kept answering my phone and whatever. I wasn't facing the mirror, and she had the buzzers. Come to find out, literally 15 seconds later, that she just went ham on my head, and then she was like, hey, how do you like that? She turns me to the mirror, and I was like, my hair's gone. So yeah, that's the story with the haircut. I'm sure it'll grow back in 2 weeks. Yeah, it kind of sucks. Here, let's move this to the side real quick. I don't know if I can vlog like this because this is a very weird angle.
Well, just tell me what you're doing.
Well, right now I need a light.
Oh, I have this light device right there.
Okay, so here's what we're looking at. All right, so here are your E-Diff lines. One is a feed, one is a return, and there's this little solenoid here. So basically it builds up pressure on this side, and this solenoid, the computer tells it when it needs traction control and locked gears and all that stuff inside the trans, sends a signal to this, to the solenoid, and it opens and relieves pressure. So what's happening is there's air trapped before this solenoid. So when it opens up, it doesn't push the air through the solenoid. There's several different openings that this has. It almost looks like a BMW Vanos solenoid, where it's got like the 3 openings, and it's got a little magnet in there, and once the voltage is sent to it, it releases pressure and relieves. So there's definitely air in these lines. The first thing we're going to do is bleed it. Mm-hmm. Then we're going to drive it, run it, pressurize the system, and see if that solves the issue. If it does, then that was a fun trip to San Francisco, right?
Yeah,
it didn't really, it wasn't really much work. But, other than that, we'll figure it out. And yeah, let's. Hey Matt, let's bleed this thing. So on the F430, your power unit is located on the rear passenger side, so you have to take this panel off, which we already did. Your F1 reservoir is here, but it's no longer used for F1 because we removed the hydraulics off of it, so it's specifically used for the E-Diff system only. We're going to open it up and see what the fluid level is first, and see if we need to top it off. All right, so it has fluid. There's actually a metal plate inside this reservoir where the level is about right now. It's about 10-15 millimeters over that metal plate. That's about your proper fill level. You don't want to overfill it because then it's going to spew everywhere from this vent line here, and you'll have it all over your driveway and stuff. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to hook up the scan tool, check the codes. We're going to pressurize the system to about 50 bar. 50 bar is almost, it's like 800-900 psi. And then we're going to add power to that solenoid on the side of the transmission to relieve the pressure, and it's going to bleed right back into this reservoir, taking all that air out that's in the system, and hopefully that fixes our issue. So we're checking for faults in the E-Diff module right now. Currently, this code is missed. It's a C2016 code. Current solenoid valve and pressure plausibility. So there is actually air in the lines. So what we thought was going on with the car is actually what's going on. So we're going to move ahead and do the bleeding procedure, clear the code out, test drive it, and that should be the end of it. Okay, so if you have a scan tool that'll read the E-Diff. Usually, like a generic OBD2 scan tool won't do it. You can get something like the Autel or the Launch. Very reasonable for around $1,000. If you're DIY car guy, you can do this in your garage. The way to bleed these systems is not actually through the computer, like the Leonardo and the Ferrari scan tool will tell you to go into the active tests and to actually bleed it that way. It's a very good way to burn your pump out, because the computer actually, believe it or not, it leaves it on and it doesn't cycle. When it reaches the certain pressure, it just keeps going. So we've seen pumps get way overextended and way over pressurized, and they just completely blow out. So when you go into the active test here, the best way to do it, you have your discharge system pressure, E-Diff bleed, and pump. So what you actually want to do is hit this pump button, and then you want to start the pump. You'll hear the pump run, and right when you start hearing the pump actually building pressure, it almost sounds like it's starting to struggle, but it's not. Make sure you don't overkill it, because you will blow the pump completely out. You want to stop it, and then in your scan tool, go to live data and see how much pressure you built up in the system. You want to make sure you're right about 50 to 55 bar. If your scan tool reads PSI, that'll be about 900 PSI. So leave it at that, and then what we do is we have a pigtail that we cut off another harness, a junk harness that we had. You're going to want to apply 12 volts to that solenoid and start relieving pressure until you no longer hear the valve opening. That means the system is completely discharged. So that fluid will have cycled already back into the tank. The best thing is to do this a couple of times just to verify that all that air has completely left the system. So we have our pressure built up in the system right now. We're just under 800 PSI. We are actually using a power probe. A power probe is a tool that connects to your car battery, and then you can test voltage with it, test your ground, test your positives, and you can also add power with it. If you don't have access to a power probe, just take a small 12-volt battery, run some wires to it, and then basically what we're going to do is hook up the ground to the battery, and then we're going to use the positive side to lightly tap on and off the solenoid until we actually see that the pressure has dropped on the computer. So watch your live data while you're doing this. This way you'll know that the system's discharged, and I would recommend doing it about 2 or 3 times to make sure all that air is out of the system. Okay, so with my power probe, I'm adding power to that solenoid. When I hit the positive, it's going to add 12 volts, and you can actually hear that solenoid clicking.
Oh yeah.
So you just keep doing that until the system is completely bled out.
And this is what you do 2 or 3 times?
Yeah, so you're going to want to pressurize the system and then do this 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
You'll actually hear the solenoid starts to, the noise actually starts to get fainter and fainter. It's because it doesn't have that pressure built up behind it anymore. And that fluid should be returning to the reservoir while we're doing this. Matt, do you want to check and see if it's going back?
This fluid's blood red, but it's visible like a little jolt every time you hit it. Raises the level just a tiny bit.
So now you can hear that I'm adding power to the solenoid, and it's not making any noise, and we're actually at 0 PSI on our locking pressure, so the system is completely discharged right now. So we're going to go back into our active tests. We're going to hit that pump button again, and we're going to build up the pressure. And while that's happening, the fluid should be lowering in the reservoir. Okay, so I'm done bleeding the system. We've pressurized it 3 times. We've gone through the cycle. We're going to clear the fault codes, and then we're going to test drive it and see. But don't forget to plug your solenoid back in with your harness and put that heat shield back on. The other Important thing is when you're finished with your bleed procedure, don't leave your pressure at 0. Kick that pump on one more time. Build up a little bit of pressure behind it. This way the computer recognizes that there's no fault in the system and it actually reads a pressure. This way you won't get any kind of just sporadic fault codes in the E-Diff. Sometimes these cars are a little tricky electronically and they're temperamental and they just need to see a little bit of something so that it actually functions properly. But other than that, yeah, we're gonna wrap this up real quick. We're gonna take it out on a test drive, put a couple miles on it, and we're hoping that the E-Diff light doesn't come back. We don't think so, but it is a Ferrari. Anything is possible. So let's go for a drive. Okay, so we just got back from our test drive and everything worked as planned. So we're getting ready to put her back into storage, and that's gonna make it for this video. Like and subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, you know, comment below or send us an email. If you have any questions about Ferrari specifically or any kind of issues, we get more than happy to answer them for you. So just hit us up. Other than that, we're done with this video.